Hey, welcome back. Simon Lees here. I've got it's not a pro guitar tip this time. It's more like an introduction to a gadget you might have heard, but you probably never realised what it was. This little gadget here is called an e-bow. Now, the idea with a bow, when you're playing a stringed instrument with a bow, a couple of things. You don't get a pluck at the start of the note, so it's a very smooth kind of pure sound. And also, because the bow has a decent amount of length to it, you can get the note to ring out for a long time, you know, and get it even so it doesn't fade away as the note rings out, because the bow's still kind of striking the string. You can't really use a bow on the guitar, not effectively anyway. I know Jimmy Page did that on occasion, but it was never going to sound great, because stringed instruments that you do normally use a bow on have the strings staggered, so that instead of like on a guitar all the strings are pretty much in a level with each other, on a violin or a cello or something like that, the outside strings will be quite low and the middle strings will be quite high, which means it's easy to sort of attack them with a bow, so you can use the bow to make the sound. With this thing, the e-bow, how it works, or how you operate it, I should say, there are two kind of guide rails, and the idea is you sit those guides on the two strings either side of the one that you want to play, you know, that you want to make the sound. So there's a switch on the back and this off in the middle, and either side you've got different settings, you know. So different settings give you different effects. If I can demonstrate with this one, if I play. So that's just literally playing the note as it is. Now this, if I switch it the other way, which I've just done, sounds exactly the same. That was supposed to be an octave higher. Let's try the other one again. Yeah, you can tell that one's trying to kind of get higher, you know, so that's trying to move into an octave higher. If I do it on a lower note, maybe it'll work better. So we'll try it on the G string. Yeah, that's not doing what I thought it was going to do, but either way, it's still quite a nice effect. And the song I always associate with one of these is by U2, called With or Without You, and it's kind of in the background, but it's almost all the way through the song, I think, you know. So I guess that song came out in about 87, I think, and I don't think looping pedals existed. In fact, they didn't at that point. So, but if he was playing it now, that's kind of what I'd do, I think, just sort of record that on a loop, and then he could do all these other fancy bits, you know, all the, what is it? You know, so while that sort of spooky kind of if you ever try one of these, one thing that strikes you is you have to get the string almost touching the gadget itself, you know. So it's if you do string bends, you have to be really careful with it. So one fret bend's all right, I'll say. Let's try. Yeah, I'm kind of losing it there a bit, so. Yeah, it's kind of difficult to keep the note going. I tried it earlier on the G string, and it was a little bit easier to keep the note going, I think, because the G string's got a little bit more weight, so it's easier to keep the momentum. So you get the gist. It's basically an endless sustain gadget, you know. I don't know if it'd work on that the Parisian Walkways note. That's always the benchmark. Yeah, seems to work. Well, you see, because you've actually got to hold this physically, it's probably not practical for doing using it as part of a guitar solo, you know, unless the whole solo sort of uses this, or unless you've got a trustworthy friend who's good at catching on the side of the stage. You can just kind of chuck it at him, like I used to do with Budgie's manager when I used to use my bottleneck for Napoleon Bonaparte 1 and Part 2. He was a cricketer, so it was a safe pair of hands, you know. Anyway, that's the EBow. That's what the EBow does. That's how it sounds, and that's what you can do with it. So I don't think they're very expensive. I borrowed this from one of my students, so thanks, Rob. But yeah, I might get one. It's a sort of, you can't really get that sound any other way unless you get a sustainer pickup, which some guitarists use. You know, Steve Vai, I can think of, he uses one. But yeah, just as a nifty little thing, just to have in your guitar case. You know, it's quite a cool gadget. You never know, it might inspire you to come up with tunes and stuff that you might otherwise not have done, you know. And it does kind of, because of the way you hold it and the way it kind of works, it does sort of encourage you to play more on one string. And I think when you're trying to write melodies, that's a good thing, because it stops your fingers kind of following the standard patterns that you train your fingers to do over and over again. So it's almost like thinking of the guitar as a new instrument, you know. Even if you've been playing for years, you can still sort of find new little bits to do if you're playing in a way which you wouldn't normally do, you know. So anyway, that's enough waffling. I thought I'd show you the EBow. It's a cool tool, and yeah, so see if you can get one, you know. Thanks for watching again, and I hope you can join me on the next one. Cheers.